Welcome. We're going to be starting in just a sec here. So hope you'll post in the comments section, and then I can see where you're logging in from. And if you have any questions about the Shabad, Dandan Ram Das Guru, anything that that you want to discuss about that. And anyway, so if you were here on Thursday, you may recall that I see someone has joined the group, and Siri Sant. Okay, Satnam. So welcome. And so if you were here last Thursday, then you will recall that I talked about two different ways that we can practice this mantra or Shabad. And one is simply just to meditate and listen or chant along with it. If you know the words were posted earlier in the Sikh Dharma Facebook feed, if you want to try to find that. But otherwise, the second way you can do this, practice this, is using a mudra, where the right thumb is up and the left fist wraps around the thumb. And then the right fingers come up around the back of the left hand. And you very comfortably just hold that in front of your heart center with your elbows relaxed at your side. Now, someone asked me on Thursday, and I didn't get a chance to answer, about what is the mudra about. And yeah, so this was a little tricky to find. I have to admit that I could not find any direct information about this mudra, but from my own intuitive understanding, you know, the thumb is the ego, the right is more about our projecting out, going into life, going into future. So this is the right, and this is being wrapped by our more receptive left hand, bringing more neutrality to this ego energy of penetrating and going forward. And so this is like a real wrapping of that insecure ego with compassion and bringing it to the heart center, so that we balance that projection through neutrality and with compassion. So understanding through compassion as we meditate, because practicing it with this mudra, it's about releasing the fear of the future. So this mudra, I think, really helps to allow the ego to be more relaxed, feel more protected, and more accepting of what is coming next. So I hope you'll enjoy that. And now we'll do the Shabad, and we'll talk a little more afterwards. All right, Satnam.
Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Jinn Seriya Tinne Savariya, Jinn Seriya Tinne Savariya. Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Puri hoi kamat apsir janhare dariya Puri hoi kamat apsir janhare dariya Sikhi aate sangti Aur Brahm kar naam sakariya Sikhi aate sangti Aur Brahm kar naam sakariya Par Brahm kar naam sakariya Par Brahm kar naam sakariya Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Jin Siriya Tene Savariya Jin Siriya Tene Savariya Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Atal ataho atol to Tera antar par hariya Atal ataho atol to Tera antar par Jinni to seviya paukar se tune par utariya Jinni to seviya paukar se tune par Se tun par utariya Se tun par utariya Tanna Ramdas Guru Ramdas Guru Jin Siriya Tene Savariya Jin Siriya Tene Savariya Tanna Guru, Ramdas Guru. Lam Loma Kam Krodh Moh Tar Kadde Tulsa Parvariya Lam Loma Kam Krodh Moh Tar Kadde Tulsa Tan so tera tan hai, sach tera pesariya. Tan so tera tan hai, sach tera pesariya. Sach tera pesariya. Sach tera pesariya. Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya, Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya. Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru. नानक तू रहना तू है, गुर अमृत विचारिया। नानक तू रहना तू है, गुर अमृत विचारिया। गुर दिता मन सदारिया, गुर दिता मन सदारिया, गुर दिता मन सदारिया, गुर दिता मन सदारिया, गुर दिता मन Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya, Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya, Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya, Jin Siriya Tinne Savariya.
Dandan Ramdas Guru Jin Siriya Dine Savaria. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So thank you everyone for participating, meditating with us. And I'm going to take a look in the comments and see what is there. If you have any questions. Sanam Guru Singh, always great to have you joining. Can you post the mudra? If you just Google the meditation called Releasing the Fear of the Future, you'll find a write-up for that showing the mudra. So Kirandeep, I think that will take care of you for that. Satnam from New York, Nata, and let's see who else we've got. Shabad Sirikar, Araceli from Mexico City, Haridas Kaur, Kirit Preet Kaur from Mexico as well. We're getting a lot of people from Mexico. That's great. And from Ecuador, we've got Satkriyakar. Siri Sant. Hi there, Satnam. Good to know you're on the other end of this. And let's see, Shabbat Sirikar from Switzerland. So nobody's actually putting in any questions per se that I could see, other than the question about the mudra. But I thought I would just talk a little bit about the origin of this Shabad, this mantra, and why we practice it. Why is it significant? So, a lot of people will say, well, it's just because it's calling on Guru Ram Das, calling on that energy of compassion and healing and service. And that's true, and that's wonderful, no problem. However, if you dig a little more deeply into how this Shabad came into being, how it was composed, why it was composed, there's quite a story there that's very interesting. And it's really about transformation of consciousness, elevation of consciousness, awakening of consciousness. And it's the story of these two musicians, Balwand and Sata. And they lived long lives. At the time, Guru Nanak, when he was alive, he had a lifelong friend, Mardana, who played music. He played the rabab. And there were many musicians who played the rabab. They were called rababis. And they were mainly from the Muslim tradition. At that time, Sikhs were not, it was not a major focus for followers of Guru Nanak who were not Muslim to take up the study of music. But Mardana had been that and had been a lifelong companion with Guru Nanak. But near the end of Guru Nanak's life, Mardana passed away. And so there needed to be new musicians to play the music that they would sing to in the Sangat as they would gather with Guru Nanak. And so these two other musicians, they were quite young at the time, Sata and Balwand, they came forward and they served Guru Nanak. And then after Guru Nanak passed, then they served Guru Angad, and also after him, Guru Amar Das and Guru Ram Das. And now they're fairly old. Both men are old. They have grandchildren who are of an age to get married. And so one of these musicians has a grandchild, a granddaughter, who, it was the tradition that the daughter to get married would need to the family would need to come up with a dowry, a sum of money to be able to give to the to the bridegroom's family. And plus the cost of the marriage, the wedding, the parties, it could be very expensive. So they needed some money. And it was the tradition at that time that the musicians would get offerings as they played in the court of the Guru. And when they played particularly well or they moved the Sangat, people would give more donations to the musicians. So that's mainly the way they earned their living. But when Guru Arjan became Guru, there was some controversy because Guru Arjan had an older brother, Prithi Chand. And after Guru Ram Das left his body, there was some controversy. Prithi Chand trying to claim that he was the Guru. And so there were people, the Sangat was confused. Some people were going to see Prithi Chand, some people were going to be in the presence of Guru Arjan, and some people were just not knowing what to do. And so there were fewer people coming into the court of Guru Arjan at the beginning. And so when the musicians approached Guru Arjan to say, well, we need a lot of money for this wedding, he said, well, you can have everything today, that whatever comes in, it's for you. Normally there'd be some that would go in front of the Guru that would be used for, maintenance of the area that was where the Guru lived, feeding the Guru, and, that kind of thing. But there was also money went to the musicians, but Guru Arjan said, you can have it all today. But unfortunately, there were a few people. And so it was not very much money. And the musicians were frustrated, and they decided that they no longer could give their service to Guru Arjan. And they were doubting him. And they were thinking, well, people were telling them, oh, you should come over and play with Prithi Chand because there's more people there and you'll get more money. And indeed, that's what they did. And even though Guru Arjan sent trusted devotees to talk to the musicians, they didn't change their mind. Guru Arjan himself went to speak to them. They still didn't change their mind. So they turned their back on Guru Arjan. Well, over time, it became increasingly clear that Prithi Chand was not the real thing. He did not deliver in the same way that Guru Arjan was able to, because Guru Arjan had taken on that light from Guru Ram Das of Guru Nanak. He was the manifestation of that same energy. And so when Prithi Chand started to be revealed, people started to notice, well, this guy doesn't seem to have that same light. Then they started going over to see Guru Arjan. And so the number of musicians, number of people in the court of Prithi Chand went down, and the number of people in the court of Guru Arjan went up. And so the musicians are not getting the money they need for the wedding either. And finally, the granddaughter, who was supposed to get married, goes to the musicians and says, "Oh, grandfather, please understand, I never intended for you to turn your back away from the guru, and please go back." Well, it wasn't quite so simple. They couldn't just decide, well, okay, now I'll go back. Because after Guru Arjan had tried so hard to get them to come back, and other people had said, well, maybe they'll come back later, he said, no. Anyone who talks to me again about letting these two musicians back into my court to play music will have to get on a donkey backwards, make their face black with coal, and ride through the town on that donkey. The ultimate embarrassment for someone to have to do that, So, of course, none of the people around Guru Arjan had the courage to say anything about helping Balwand and Satta get back into the court. And so the musicians were quite distraught now. They were also finally feeling a connection inside themselves that was not satisfied, that they were actually missing that connection to the light of the Guru. And so they said, who can help us? And no one in that area could help. But they heard of a great Sikh living in Lahore, which was quite a distance away. And they went to see him. They talked to him, and he said, yes, I think I have a way. So they went back home, and they waited for this friend of theirs to take care of it. So this great Sikh, he traveled to where the Guru was. He took some coal and he made his face all black with coal himself. He got a donkey and he sat on it backwards, and he rode through the town to go see Guru Arjan. And when Guru Arjan had heard that this great Sikh had done these acts of humility and embarrassed himself just so that he could talk to the Guru about letting the two musicians back in the court, Guru Arjan said, yes, of course, now they can come back. Well, Balwand and Satta were so transformed through this process that they had really started to awaken to the inner connection to their Guru. There was something very, very powerful in what Guru Arjan had said about them earlier. And he said that he could tolerate those musicians discounting, discrediting Guru Arjan himself. But when they said anything disparaging about Guru Ramdas, who was Guru Arjan's guru and father actually, then that was too much. So the composition, Dandan Ramdas Guru, is actually a part of a much longer composition, Balwand Divar it's called, where Balwand and Satta go into the very depth of praising all of the five gurus together, so that it's very clear that they have this humility and this understanding of connecting to the light of Guru Nanak through Guru Arjan to Guru Ramdas, to Guru Amar Das, to Guru Angad, and then to Guru Nanak. So that's what this Shabad is about. It's about opening to that transformation and deep connection to the Guru, to Guru Ramdas, of course, because it's talking about Guru Ramdas, but also to all of the manifestations of that essential light of Guru Nanak that came through them all. So I hope you've enjoyed that little sort of overview of the story. There's a much longer version I've written on the Sikh Dharma website blog. If you Google Dandan Ramdas Guru origin story or something like that, you'll find it. So I'm looking at your comments here again and just checking in with you. So Nata is asking, why were those fights about the Guru's lineage? Well, because you can choose your guru, but you can't choose your family kind of thing, you know. Um, Priti Chand and Arjun were brothers, and it was always traditional in the Indian heritage and in much of culture, even in the West, that, you know, it's always seen that the eldest son would inherit, would be put in the place of authority after the father's demise, right? They would inherit the wealth, the land, the business. And in this case, it was implied that the eldest son should then become guru. But there's another story to be told here about the composition Mera Mana Loche, where Arjun composes four letters to his father, to his guru, Guru Ram Das, and Priti Chand steals two of them, but eventually it comes out that Guru Ram Das discovers the truth, and Priti Chand is revealed for being less than capable, and Guru Arjun, or Arjun at the time, is embraced as being the true light, the one who's capable of manifesting that light. Let's see. All right, well, I think I've covered your questions, talked a little bit about the Shabad. On Thursday, we're going to get together and do the same thing. I'll either play a different tune, or maybe I'll play it on guitar or something, but I'll try to mix these things up a little bit. And I'm also contacting a couple of musicians to see if they'd like to do some filling in occasionally, not because I'm going anywhere, but I'll be here. But just